It may not have had a perfect debut, but The Rainmaker proved that Suits LA could have worked, had it only aired on the USA Network. Adapted from the John Grisham novel of the same name, The Rainmaker follows a young lawyer named Rudy Baylor, played by Matt Damon in the 1996 film and Milo Callahan in the 2025 series. The USA Network's newest version of the tale comes mere months after Suits LA's unfortunate cancellation. Yet, while NBC's failed spin-off stood out for all the wrong reasons, The Rainmaker's pilot episode promises legal dramas aren't a lost art. Furthermore, despite The Rainmaker's disappointing Rotten Tomatoes score, most viewers are already hooked, a feat Suits LA never managed to achieve. Unlike Ted Black, Rudy Baylor is immediately effective as a protagonist. Milo Callahan's Rudy Baylor talking to PJ Burns' deck in front of an ambulance in The Rainmaker Season 1, Episode 1. Jonathan Hession, copyright symbol USA Network, a courtesy Everett Collection. Undeniably, one of the biggest contributors to Suits LA's failure was its main character, Stephen Amell's Ted Black. In the dog-eat-dog world of law, it's typical to have morally grey characters or full-blown anti-heroes. Unfortunately, Ted rarely gave the audience a reason to root for him. Suits LA could never justify Ted's position as the hero, leaving most viewers unconvinced. In stark contrast, Rudy Baylor is an instant underdog, scrappy with a heart of gold and low impulse control. He's far from perfect, but the first episode of The Rainmaker establishes one vital truth: Rudy Baylor stands up for the little guys, especially considering he's one of them. Meanwhile, Ted Black never shied away from blackmail, extortion, and general manipulation. There's a simple explanation for why Rudy resonates far more than Ted: people want David to win, not Goliath. Out of the USA Network's most iconic characters, the majority have been flawed but, unlike Ted Black, had clear values and lines they wouldn't cross. Ted succeeding always felt too easy, whereas Rudy succeeding would feel like a true triumph. The Rainmaker handles dark pasts with the nuance Suits LA needed. Stephen Amell as Ted Black in Suits LA Season 1, Episode 8-1. Of course, that's not to say Ted had everything handed to him on a silver platter. The scathing early reviews of Suits LA hounded the spin-off for its egregious use of flashbacks, typically filled to the brim with grueling exposition. Ted being haunted by his dead brother, neglectful father, and explosive breakup never went below the surface, however. At times, it felt as though Suits LA didn't trust the audience to read between the lines, instead opting for lines that practically spelled out Ted's every thought and feeling. The Rainmaker's pilot episode ironically includes many similar conflicts, including a dead relative. Nonetheless, there's a glaring difference between the seemingly analogous storylines that give The Rainmaker an obvious leg up. Suits LA tried to drag out Eddie's, Carson A. Egan, death, but it was immediately clear how, when, and why he died. Furthermore, the impact of his passing was almost entirely centered on Ted and his perceived culpability. Conversely, Rudy's deceased relative, though still visibly painful for the young lawyer, serves a broader purpose based on The Rainmaker's first episode. The Rainmaker is wisely keeping its cards closer to its chest, not revealing much aside from the most pertinent details. His name was John, he was going to be a lawyer, and his childhood room has been preserved, reflecting his mother's lingering grief. While The Rainmaker can build on John's storyline, Eddie was literally dead on arrival in Suits LA. Suits LA lacked the USA Network's effortless mix of comedy and drama. Josh McDermott as Stuart Lane and Stephen Amell as Ted Black in Suits LA. On the most general level, Suits LA failed as a spin-off and a standalone legal drama. Unsurprisingly, what made the original Suits such a delight was the USA Network's unique approach to television during its blue sky era, which peaked around the 2010s. Sadly, the acerbic wit, humor, and sense of style was lost in Suits' last transit to NBC. Suits LA was heavy-handed with its drama and trauma, but the comedic elements were introduced far too late to offer any relief. Granted, The Rainmaker has only aired one episode so far, but the tone, while admittedly disjointed, already makes for a more pleasant viewing experience. In fact, humor is The Rainmaker's biggest departure from the Francis Ford Coppola film. The USA Network's iteration of The Rainmaker will have thriller elements that align with the source material, but there is still real personality and rough-edged humanity that barrels through. Rudy and Deck, PJ Byrne, share awkward but endearing banter, and even the villains are awarded a one-liner or two, adding dimension to what could have otherwise been a melodramatic drag. The Rainmaker is starting off stronger than Suits LA finished. Lana Parrilla and Milo Callahan sitting in court in USA's The Rainmaker. Image via USA. Perhaps the biggest credit to the USA Network is that, unlike Suits LA, most people are excited to see where The Rainmaker goes from here. NBC's failed spin-off had an abysmal start and spent months trying to regain its pre-premiere momentum. In the end, however, most people only remember Suits LA's missed potential.